Tonight on OU Nightly, the state of Oklahoma stays the execution of Richard Glossip, a Tulsa County grand jury indicts the county sheriff, and new technology for weather forecasters. This is OU Nightly. Breaking news in the last few minutes after a last-ditch effort from the Supreme Court failed. Governor Mary Fallin has issued a 37-day stay for Richard Glossip while the state addresses questions about execution protocols.
A letter from the Pope and a last-minute plea to the Supreme Court were all in vain today. It took the executive order from Governor Fallin to postpone the execution. The new date of execution is November 6th.
Richard Glossip will be Oklahoma's first execution since the botched lethal injection of Clayton Lockett last year. He was first scheduled to receive the lethal cocktail at 3 p.m., but Oklahoma prison officials delayed the execution while awaiting the Supreme Court's decision on whether or not to halt it.
The Supreme Court denied the inmate's halt request at 2:55 today. Glossip's execution was delayed 2 weeks earlier this month when his attorney asked for more time to look over new evidence and new witnesses.
Glossip supporters purchased a full-page ad in the Oklahoman urging residents to call Governor Fallin and halt the execution.
Oklahomans weren't the only ones speaking out. Pope Francis attempted to halt the execution in a letter to Governor Fallin, where he asked for her to commute Glossip's death sentence.
As for the Pope, he left the U.S. on Sunday, and hundreds of thousands of people who flocked to the East Coast to see him have returned home. Among them, a Norman woman who OU Nightly's Ashley Sanchez shows us took a trip to Philadelphia to be a part of history.
Itzel Ortiz is back to work at Norman St. Joseph Catholic Church, a long way from Philadelphia, where she had the experience of a lifetime.
Well, it was an amazing experience, first of all. Long trip, but every single moment that I was there, I was just so excited to know that the Pope was coming.
People from all over the world traveled to Philadelphia this weekend, some even waiting outside up to 13 hours for their chance to see the Pope.
The whole world was basically there, and I really, really enjoyed just walking down the streets and hearing all different kinds of languages that I didn't understand, but you could hear that it was just peaceful and people that were just excited. I could hear the excitement in their voice, even if I couldn't understand their language.
Although her view of the Pope lasted only 9 seconds, it was a special moment. Ortiz says she felt like he was waving just at her, like she was the only person there.
I get teary-eyed just thinking about it, and when I was there, the same emotion came to me.
Having returned to Norman just Monday, she is still settling back in from her trip. She says she has hardly even had time to look at her photographs, much less reflect on her journey. For now, she's living on the memories. Ashley Sanchez, OU Nightly.
After weeks of planning, a Student Government Association resolution celebrating Indigenous people at OU has stalled. The initiative, co-authored by the group Indigenize OU, calls for replacing October's Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. It passed both the Graduate Senate and Undergraduate Congress, but a change in language last night requires it to be sent back to the Senate.
Because there was an amendment made to the language, this bill will end up going back to the or if they want to amend it again themselves.
Would you please repeat that? I know it's going to be on the South Oval this year, but in terms of the members of the group are still pleased with the progress.
I'm really, really excited and thrilled for the Indigenous community at OU, and I think that this sets precedents for other places in the state of Oklahoma. I really think that we're really paving the way for being more inclusive of Indigenous communities and recognizing them.
If the Senate passes the resolution on October 11th, it must be signed by SGA President Alex Byron and President Boren for OU to recognize the holiday. Now we have September kind of wrapping up here. We're about to head into October.
It feels like fall already.
It's starting to, yes.
Definitely. Braden, what can you tell us about those temperatures this week?
Well, as we head over into October, but wrap up September right now, thought it would be nice to take a recap of what September looked like, usually looks like. Our average last 90-degree day is usually September 27th. Luckily, we've had cooler weather, so we had ours way about a couple weeks earlier. Last 100-degree day, September 30th, 1977. Again, not even close for this time of year, though we were warm, pretty hot actually in the middle portions of the month. Temperature average 84 over 62. We were a little bit above that for this time, for this month. This year, we were about 87, 65, 87, 66. And our average rainfall, though we are still well above normal for this time of year, we actually fell short. We were only had almost 2 inches of rain for this time of year, or for this month, and usually we have about 4.06 inches of rain in the gauge this time around. Tonight, 7 p.m., 75 degrees, looking at your evening planner with a few clouds still hanging around, cooling down to the mid-60s by midnight under partly cloudy skies with a light east-northeasterly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour, really embracing this fall weather. And will it continue? Fall has been here for the last, since last Wednesday. Temperatures have been cool, so will it be here to stay? Coming up next, I'll also tell you about some storm chances, 7-day forecast, and have your first look at game day. But for now, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Braden. Now, County Sheriff Stanley Glanz resigned quickly after being indicted this afternoon by a Tulsa grand jury. The indictments follow an investigation into volunteer deputy Robert Bates, who in April fatally shot an unarmed man. Key grand jury testimony came from one of Glanz's colleagues who said he was pressured to sign off on memos saying Bates was qualified for duty. Glanz will leave office before November 10th.
Russia has joined the fight against ISIS this week, concerning some in the U.S. State Department. Leslie Adelman joins us now in the News Center. Leslie, how does this affect the U.S.-led airstrikes in that country?
Dylan, this morning, Russia surprised the world with a round of airstrikes in Syria. Russia's defense minister said that the strikes targeted ISIS military equipment and communication center, but U.S. officials worry that Russia is supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad while straightening their influence in the region. Russia's President Vladimir Putin says that the operation is limited in time and will not involve boots on the ground. And in a historical first, the Palestinian flag was raised outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. Earlier this month, the UN General Assembly voted to add both the Palestinian and Vatican flags. They will join the more than 190 flags of member nations around flying as the first non-member observer nations. Supporters say the flag raising will help the Palestinians strengthen their presence in global affairs. And a divided U.S. Congress is just hours away from a midnight deadline for approving a temporary spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. Stopgap measures are often routine, but debates this year exposed deep divisions between pragmatic Republicans. The measure would finance the government through December 11th and carry past the 2016 presidential election, but there are no guarantees that another shutdown won't occur.
So you think?
And that's what's happening around the world. Now back to you at the news desk. Dylan?
Thanks, Leslie. Now they're coming back to Oklahoma. The
that
Westboro Baptist Church plans to picket at the National Weather Center next week. The Notorious Hate Group previously held protests at a veteran's funeral in Moore and at the Jewish Hillel Center here on OU's campus. The Weather Center protest coincides with the Society of Environmental Journalists conference. OU expects hundreds of journalists to attend, but OU spokeswoman Catherine Bishop says the university does not anticipate any disruption to academic activities. And still ahead on OU Nightly, Apple shatters its own records. We'll have the shocking number for you straight ahead.
Plus, we'll give you a look at a new tool for weather forecasters.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. It's time for Eric Payne and Tech Talk. U.S. consumers are about to have a new line of defense against cybercrime.
That's right, Amy. And the line of defense we're talking about is a chip built into credit and debit cards. The retailers must be able to read the chips by tomorrow, according to a deadline set last year by MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and American Express. This rule comes after hackers stole about 40 million credit and debit card numbers from Target during the 2013 holiday season. Starting tomorrow, retailers who don't have upgraded card reading terminals will be on the hook for fraudulent charges. And Apple sold over 13 million iPhone 6s and 6s Plus devices over its first weekend, setting a new record for the company. This is 3 million more phones than were sold last year and 4 million more than in 2013. Over the past weekend, Apple sold 3,000 phones per minute or 50 devices per second. For some perspective, in the time I told you this, Apple would have sold 1,000 phones while hauling in around $750,000. And in today's Tech Talk, a revolutionary way to detect weather activity. OU Nightly's Hunter McKee is live in OU's South Campus area to show us what they're doing now.
His hands are anchored to the keyboard, but Dr. Philip Chilson's head is in the clouds. The OU meteorology professor's new passion?
Unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs.
In more simple terms, these drones that are built in the shape of mini airplanes. The plan is to gather information from the boundary layer, the layer in the atmosphere closest to us, and then transfer that information quickly to meteorologists. Up there, they gather all kinds of information with these drones and warn us of possible severe weather, which is important, especially here in Oklahoma.
3 days, 4 days out, we can tell that there's a chance of severe weather.
Chilson sees drones not as toys, but rather life-saving tools.
When we started 7 years ago, we were still in the process of developing our technology. We've now come to a place where we have a small aircraft which we can fly.
3 drones like this one are kept here in the lab, and when weather turns badly, like this simulated tornado behind me, they take them out into the field, where these drones can travel up to 160 miles per hour and fly as high as 3,000 feet.
So having some method of getting the wind, pressure, temperature, and humidity at these rapidly evolving scales and spatially is really important, and that's what we're hoping to address with this type of technology.
Thanks, Hunter. And it's great to see them using technology for weather purposes like this.
Oh, for sure. And what meteorologist wouldn't love having a weather drone, right?
Definitely. Well, Braden is standing by with weather. Braden, what do you think of those drones?
I tell you what, guys, I would absolutely love to have one with me if I could, but right now they probably aren't active. 70s across the state, clear skies, but they will be in use this weekend. I'll tell you why with some thunderstorm chances next. Sunny skies, cool temperatures made for a beautiful day today here in Norman. I'm Braden along with your OU Nightly weather. 77 degrees currently right now, light northerly winds, kind of keeping things cool, pleasant outside. Now the same can't be said off the coast of Florida and the Bahamas right now. Hurricane Joaquin was upgraded this morning, and what that means is that it has sustained winds at 74 to 95 miles per hour. That can do a lot of damage to your house. It can lift a mobile home completely, uproot trees, blow out windows and doors, and can have significant roof damage as well. I mention this because this is tracking towards the United States right now. It's a very wide swath, what we call a cone of uncertainty, from South Carolina up to Virginia Beach for the next couple of days of where it will hit, but it is tracking towards the continental U.S. Currently right now sitting just north of the Bahamas right here. You can see this little spin. In the next couple of days, looking Thursday around midnight right now, it looks to directly impact the Bahamas, intensify, travel or speed up and intensify even more as we go into Friday and even into Saturday. We're expecting to hit some warm waters and go into a Category 2 state, higher winds. Where it's going to hit along this coast is still uncertain, but it's something to stay aware of as we go throughout the week, throughout the rest of the week. If you have family on the Atlantic coast or anything like that, make sure that they are still informed about Hurricane Joaquin heading their way. Now here in Oklahoma, a little bit more pleasant. We have rain chances in the forecast with a cold front coming through Friday. That'll make for a really cool weekend, much cooler than we have expected or than we've been used to for this last week or so. With a fall-like 7-day finally looking to stick around here in Oklahoma. Tomorrow we have a chance of some isolated showers from the northwestern portion of the state all the way down to southern Oklahoma. Cloud cover really sticking around all the way through Thursday. Especially in northwestern Oklahoma. Should be a cool, pleasant, cloudy day. That'll stick around for Friday and even bring us some chances into the weekend. But tonight, lows 60s from I-35 and to the west. A little bit cooler up in the northwest or in the northeastern portions of the state. 46 in Joplin. So you might, even if you're up in Miami, have a dip into the 40s. So make sure to have a jacket as you're heading out the door at 7 a.m. Warmer, pleasant here in Norman, 60 degrees, 69 by noon with a few spotty showers tomorrow. So maybe take the umbrella to work or out to class. 74 degrees by 4 p.m. With light northeasterly winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Highs tomorrow look to be pleasant. 70s across the state, 75 in Stillwater. Warm spot in Ardmore at 82 degrees. More cloud cover in western Oklahoma, keeping these temperatures down. Now going ahead and looking at our 7-day forecast, looks pretty pleasant. 69 on Saturday though for game day. It's going to be pretty cool. 11 a.m. kickoff. Make sure to go ahead and take some stuff, or take a coat with you. 71 on Monday, 73 on Tuesday. Guys, fall's here to stay. Weekend thunderstorm chances, but it's going to be a pleasant weekend.
Well, we love seeing the cooler temps. Thanks for that, Braden.
Definitely. Haley Huey, standing by with sports. Haley.
Big 12 play starts Saturday. Is OU ready for West Virginia's offense? And the Boz is returning to Norman. Sports is straight ahead. This is OU Nightly Sports. I'm Haley Huey. After a bye week, the 15th ranked Sooners will take on 23rd ranked West Virginia this Saturday in both teams' first Big 12 game. OU is no stranger to this season to a strong air raid offense after playing Tulsa, but West Virginia will likely be the true test for OU and their defense. So far, the Mountaineers have dominated their opponents, averaging 543 yards and 41 points per game. In their last game against Maryland, quarterback Skylar Howard completed 21 of 33 passes, and they scored 39 points more than Maryland with a 45-6 win. And Mike Stoops talks about how the Sooners will not take West Virginia lightly.
They got great personnel, good speed. They stretch the field in a lot of different ways, and get their guys in space. But they want to run the ball too. So they're a very physical team. Last year was a pretty physical game on both sides of the ball. So we anticipate a lot of the same things we've seen over the last couple of years.
Since West Virginia joined the Big 12 in 2012, the Sooners have won all 3 meetings. However, most were close games with about an average 7-point margin. When first meeting as Big 12 opponents in 2012, the game ended extremely close at 50-49. In 2013, the margin was a little larger for the Sooners at 16-7. Then another somewhat close call last year at 45-33.
They're a tough team, well coached team, competitors. 49-50, and then my sophomore year was like 16-7, and then last year it was 34 like to 40 or something like that?
40 like a 12-point game.
45-30, and then so it's been a tough game.
OU football legend Brian Bosworth, or better known as the Boz, will be honored with the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame on-campus salute on Saturday. The salute will take place between the first and second quarter. OU men's cross-country team got some good news this week. They broke into the polls at number 21 after showing a strong showing at the Panorama Farms Invitational last weekend. They finished second to the host number 9 West Virginia. In other Sooner news, volleyball will continue Big 12 play tonight against West Virginia. The game will serve as the team's annual pledge for a cure match. The Sooners are 6-7, the Cyclones are 8-4, then 1-0 in the Big 12 after sweeping Texas Tech Saturday. The match starts at 6 p.m. tonight at McCassin Fieldhouse. 3-time NASCAR champion Tony Stewart announced today that he will be retiring after the 2016 season. Stewart says that this is 100% his choice, even though he has not won a race in 2 years. And bad news for Bulls fans. Derrick Rose is injured once again. Rose suffered a left orbital fracture after getting elbowed during practice. He's undergoing surgery today, and there is no timetable yet on his return. Next Saturday, OU faces Texas on the football field, but when they meet in basketball, the Sooners will see this viral sensation. Texas freshman Kerwin Roach showed mad hops during practice, getting to the top of the backboard and turning backflips.
Well, too bad their Texas football team doesn't have that kind of talent.
They definitely don't.
Those basketball games are going to be entertaining, though.
I can't wait. Can't wait for it to start.
Thanks, Haley. Still to come on OU Nightly, we'll have a look at that game day forecast.
And you thought technology was only meant to entertain humans, right? We'll be right back to give you a look at how pets are becoming tech savvy.
I'm Delaney Phillips at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Governor Mary Fallin has postponed Richard Glossop's execution due to the lethal drug not matching the state's protocol. Glossop's execution date is now set for November 6th. That's it for now. Back to you in the studio.
Well, say goodbye to that old tennis ball and bone. Pet toys are joining the 21st century. Numerous apps and tech toys are being marketed for your furry friends. Several apps tempt cats to chase moving targets on the screen. How far pets' toys have come, you guys. You know, that's crazy.
It is
so
pretty
far.
Interesting. Hey, Braden, can we get a quick look at that game day forecast?
It's gonna be cool. We're gonna need to have a jacket as we go into the first that morning, because it's going to like 58 degrees for the low.
I like that though.
Yeah,
I like that.
Rain maybe. Just go ahead and take a jacket, maybe an umbrella out to the game.
Well, thanks, Braden.
Sounds good. We'll be on the lookout for rain, right?
Definitely. Well, thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College here on OU's campus.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night, live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.